Have you ever wondered why some people seem overly clingy or constantly need reassurance in relationships? It's not just a personality quirk, but a reflection of what psychologists term as attachment styles. Let's dive into the world of attachment styles, specifically focusing on the anxious attachment style. Attachment styles are essentially patterns of how we think, feel, and behave in our relationships. One such style is the anxious attachment style. This is characterized by a deep-seated fear of abandonment and a constant craving for reassurance. Imagine feeling an intense need to be close to someone, yet constantly fearing they might leave. That's a glimpse into what anxious attachment feels like. From a constant need for reassurance to overly investing in relationships, people with an anxious attachment style often find themselves in a whirlwind of emotions. But don't worry, it's not all gloom and doom. Understanding anxious attachment is the first step to nurturing healthier relationships. So how do you recognize an anxious attachment style? Well, there are a few key characteristics to look out for. Firstly, those with an anxious attachment style often have a need for constant reassurance. They may always be seeking validation and approval, constantly questioning their worth in the relationship. This could look like them frequently asking if you're okay, if you're upset with them, or if everything is all right. They might need to hear that you love them more often than others. Secondly, there's a prevalent fear of abandonment. This fear can stem from past experiences or insecurities, and it can make them extremely sensitive to any signs that could indicate potential rejection or abandonment. They might worry excessively about you leaving them, even when there's no concrete reason for such fear. The third characteristic is a heightened sensitivity to small changes. This means they might notice and react to tiny shifts in your mood, behavior, or routine that others might not pick up on. A small change in your texting habits, for instance, might trigger a wave of worry and fear in them, even if the change is due to something as mundane as a busy day at work. Lastly, individuals with an anxious attachment style tend to take things personally. They might interpret your actions and words as reflections of their worth or your feelings towards them. For example, if you're having a bad day and you're not as talkative, they might assume it's because you're upset with them, rather than considering external factors that might be affecting your mood. These traits can manifest in a relationship in various ways. They might appear clingy, needy, or overly sensitive, but it's important to remember that these behaviors stem from a place of fear and insecurity. These individuals are not trying to be difficult, they're simply trying to secure their place in the relationship and alleviate their anxieties. Recognizing these traits can help you understand your partner's behavior better. And understanding is the first step towards empathy, patience, and ultimately a healthier, more harmonious relationship. Knowing the traits is one thing, but how does anxious attachment affect relationships? Now that's a question that deserves a deep dive. So let's plunge right in and explore the impacts of this attachment style on relationships. An anxious attachment style can make the sea of love a bit stormy. One of the key impacts is high emotional volatility. Imagine you're on a roller coaster, but one that's not just full of thrilling highs and terrifying lows, but also unexpected twists and turns. That's what it can feel like being in a relationship with someone who has an anxious attachment style. Their emotions can change rapidly, like shifting weather patterns, making the relationship feel unstable at times. Then there's the issue of conflicts arising from perceived slights. Picture this. You're in a relationship with someone who has an anxious attachment style. You forget to call them one evening because you're busy with work. To you, it's a simple oversight, but to them, it may feel like a deliberate act of neglect. They might perceive this slight, whether real or imagined, as a sign of your waning interest or love. This can lead to misunderstandings and conflicts, even over seemingly small matters. And of course, we cannot overlook the strain of constant reassurance. Those with an anxious attachment style crave assurance. They need to know they are loved, valued, and not going to be abandoned. This constant need for reassurance, while completely understandable, can put a significant strain on the relationship. It can feel exhausting for their partners, who might feel like they are always walking on eggshells, constantly needing to affirm their love and commitment. So there you have it. Anxious attachment can lead to emotional volatility, conflicts over perceived slights, and the burden of constant reassurance. It's not an easy road to navigate, but understanding these impacts is a significant step towards a healthier, more balanced relationship. As you can see, anxious attachment can create a challenging dynamic. in relationships. But remember, every challenge brings with it an opportunity for growth, understanding, and deeper connection. So how can you navigate a relationship with someone with an anxious attachment style? This question is one that many of us may ask ourselves when we find ourselves in love with someone who has a heightened need for reassurance and a fear of abandonment. It's not always easy, but with the right strategies, it can be done. One of the most effective ways to manage an anxious attachment style is through open and frequent communication. This means being clear about your feelings, your intentions, and your commitments. It means expressing your needs and wants honestly and directly, and inviting your partner to do the same. It means making an effort to understand their fears and insecurities, and validating their feelings even if you don't always understand them. Another strategy is to offer reassurance to your partner. This might mean reminding them of your love and commitment to them, especially during times of conflict or stress. It might mean making an effort to show them through your actions that you are there for them and that you're not going anywhere. This can help to alleviate their fears and anxieties and strengthen the bond between you. Consistency is also key when navigating a relationship with someone with an anxious attachment style. This involves maintaining a stable and predictable pattern of behavior that your partner can rely on. It means not pulling away when things get tough, but instead staying present and engaged. It means showing up for your partner in both the good times and the bad. These strategies can help to reduce the anxiety that often comes with an anxious attachment style and foster a healthier, more secure relationship. It's important to remember, though, that it's not about changing your partner or fixing them. It's about understanding them, empathizing with them, and supporting them in the best way you can. It's not always easy. It requires patience, understanding, and a willingness to put in the work. But the rewards can be immeasurable. With understanding and patience, it's possible to navigate a relationship with someone with an anxious attachment style. To wrap things up, let's summarize what we've learned today. We started by delving into the concept of anxious attachment, a style characterized by a deep-seated fear of abandonment, a craving for closeness, and a tendency to require constant reassurance. These characteristics can significantly impact relationships, often leading to a cycle of clinging and distancing as well as heightened emotional reactions. But we also discuss strategies to navigate such a relationship. Open communication is crucial, allowing both parties to express their needs and fears. It's also beneficial to cultivate a secure base, providing the reassurance that one is not alone in facing their anxieties. Building trust and maintaining consistency can also help alleviate the anxiety associated with this attachment style. Remember, understanding and patience are key when loving someone with an anxious attachment style. Thanks for joining us today, and we hope this insight improves your relationships.